Mr. Parsons, how many of your wolves have been killed by your neighbors when they were not on your property?
They weren't on their property either, and it was 3.
All right.
All right, so quick thanks to Mr. Pye, who gave me the idea to do a plat search of the properties involved, because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have noticed this one. All right, so here's the thing. The Google photograph I've been using of the farm is from March 2018. The problem is that the shooting was in 2007, almost 11 years ago. So what I thought was the case is that this was Flaxton's property here, and then all this stuff over here is the Burnett property, because that's what it looks like. But if we zoom in here, we see there's some sort of debris here. Well, that really changes some of the stuff, because Mike has always said that Laxton went onto the Burnett property. What it looks like is that Laxton went over here, and you think that, okay, this is a property line between Laxton and Burnett. So Laxton, when he was firing his gun, was not on his property; it was on Burnett's property. That really wouldn't change anything legally, but as it turns out, that's not true. So what it looks like is that the Burnett property is rectangle, trapezoid shaped here, basically a rectangle here. What it looks like is that the Burnett property is rectangle shaped, and then you got the Parsons property here, which is L shaped, and then Laxton has this thing here. At least that's what it looks like from there. Turns out that's not what it was. That's not what it was in 2007. Okay, so if we go to the property records, we got Mike's property here is the 78.4 acre. It says lot 32. I don't know. So okay, this is Mike's property here, obviously, which is what you can see on the aerial photograph. But when we go to the Burnett property, it turns out it's not rectangle. It's not trapezoidal. Whatever. It actually has a little cutout on 33.01, which let's go back to the aerial photograph. If we go back to the aerial photograph, that basically would correspond to this area here. And you can see here that there used to be, looks like the foundation for a mobile home. And as it turns out, Laxton's daughter, or someone in Laxton's property, lived there. And at the time, Laxton owned not only his house west of the Hughes Road, he also owned the property south of the lake, and that's why you can see in 2018, you can see that the road to the Burnett house goes around Laxton's house, where Laxton's house used to be. Since then, the Burnetts have bought land where she used to live, but that's why the driveway makes this long curve around there, because this used to belong to Burnett and his daughter. Well, Burnett explains it probably that he sold the land to his daughter, and then Burnett brought it at some point. I don't have full records, and I'm not going to say who his daughter's name, because this has nothing to do with them.
Where were you when you first fired shots to, in your words, run the 4 wolves off?
Right there.
Okay. Was that your property?
Yes, sir. Okay. Where my daughter lives.
Okay. And whose property were you on, also Mr. Burnett's?
At that point, I was on my property.
Okay. So you had gotten back to, is that your property? That you own?
One acre right here.
Okay. And that
It's yellow
one,
line.
so that 1 acre, which is, it looks like it's on Hughes Road, and just east of it is your 1 acre. Right?
Yes.
So the grass that you were cutting on the other side of the street was
It's over
whose
here.
property? Whose property is that?
At the time, it was my daughter, but since then I have bought it.
Okay. But at the time, it was your daughter's and you were cutting
Right.
grass.
I was cutting her grass.
Right.
But anyways, okay, so as going back to the property lines involved. And by the way, this is a separate thing here. This is a different house. Okay, so if we go back to this changes the dynamics of the counter here, because all right, Laxton is here along his porch. He sees the dogs running wild in the lake next to his daughter's house. So Laxton crosses from his house on his land across the road to also his land where his daughter was living. And since the daughter's living around here, when he shoots the dog around the ditch, he's still on his property. So when Mike says that Laxton was on his when Mike says that Laxton was not on his property, that he was on the Burnett property, that's a lie. That's not true. Meanwhile, Mike, who is crossing here, anyways, the mechanics all line up here because King and Laxton both say that the dog was shot around the ditch. That ditch would be around the house where Laxton's daughter was living. And then, as Mike said, the dog ran east across the lake after being shot. Which, by the way, that to me disproves the idea that the dog was shot 5 times. I don't think a dog is going to run that much distance after being shot 5 times. I think it was only shot once. That's the only explanation that makes sense to me. Also after after the dog was shot around here, Laxton then moves back to the hangar side of the gun. So in the time that Laxton walks south to the hangar, Mike walks around and back to the back of the hangar to steal the gun from Laxton. And also, it's possible that the truck was parked here or here. I think the truck was parked here because, as you can see here, this is a helipad. So it wouldn't make sense to park your truck here. It makes more sense for the truck to be here because that way, when Laxton is hiding the gun in the truck, Mike can't see across the hangar. And actually, let's do a double whammy here. As you just heard in Pat's testimony, she said that she was going down the driveway, which would be this way.
When I arrived, can you describe what we did then and where you went?
I had told you which way I had seen them, Brandy and Duke go, and I had headed down the driveway and you had headed the direction that they had gone.
Okay.
And then she says that she was at the front of the property. Now, meanwhile, Mike apparently went this way. Although, here's the thing: Mike doesn't clarify at what point he went south off the driveway. It makes this path doesn't make sense to me because you say that it gets more densely wooded. it would make more sense to me that he went across around here. So that would be, so that, yeah, I've been saying that he crossed around here, but maybe it makes more sense that he was coming across here. In which case, Laxton shooting at the dog here, while Mike was behind the Burnett property. By the way, this is all uphill here. Well, let's see if we can. All right, so yeah, as it turns out, the GIS website has a layer that allows you to see elevation. If you don't know how contours work, well, it doesn't really matter. Basically, each line is an increase of 2 feet in elevation. So, here we go. If Mike is going across here, you see that this is all uphill. Each line is about 2 feet in height. So Laxton is here at 310 elevation, while Mike is up here in this area, which is about 326 feet of elevation. And as you can see here, this is the hill. I'm guessing that this is the hill because you see that it's sort of basically this is the hill in the wooded area. So if we believe Mike that Mike when he says that Pat was behind this hill, then she's way the heck over here. She's nowhere near the action. Just one more interesting thing. For some reason, this shows up on Google Maps as an airport. I don't know if Mike was doing some sort of I don't know, some sort of flight stuff on the property. I don't know, maybe Frater knows about that. Look, as you can see here, it shows up as Parsons Field, and it even has his phone number. So I don't know. Oh, and as Mr. Pye pointed out, the GIS website also includes all the streams and bodies of water. And as you can see, the ditch, which looks like at some point it used to be a stream, does go across what used to be Laxton's property. So if we believe that the dog was at the ditch, then yeah, Laxton shot the dog while it was on his property. So